Well, good afternoon, good
that,
morning.
that was more of a underwater applause than it
Yeah,
was a hard applause.
yeah, exactly. You are joining Distill at a 360-degree view of life in sports. We are here, or not really here, we are virtually at the UBN Go studios this morning with our favorite station owner helping support us today. Tony, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We are very excited to be back on air after, yeah, kind of a month of what everybody else has been going through too, just trying to get our bearings. And homeschooling has kind of knocked the wind out of at least me. I don't know about you, Eira.
Yeah, it's been work. It's been work.
It's
A
been
lot of
work.
a lot of discipline.
Well, I am joined as always by the amazing Eira Switzer. And it's so good to see your face because literally, I think the last time I saw your face, we were
It was
sitting
when you
in
were
the
here.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knew a month ago that we would be doing this on a more regular basis instead of being in the studio? But I'm very, very excited to be back. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about. Hopefully, staying kind of in line with what's going on in the world and reflecting that, which is why we brought our wonderful guest on, who I'll introduce in a moment. But it's kind of been a weird few weeks.
It has been really odd. And just continuing to read about sort of what's coming our way. I mean, I keep envisioning just an empty season of everything, no baseball starting, no Hollywood Bowl, no Philharmonic. It's like, there's nothing to look forward to. We've just got emptiness all around. And yet at the same
Oh.
time, look at us. We're here, remote places and still so connected, which is very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I'm just hoping that this all ends before football season starts because that would just
Right?
be
Well,
even
but
more
just
devastating.
just yesterday, Garcetti was saying that at least in LA, we have to prepare for no concerts, no sporting events of any kind, nothing, no large gatherings until 2021, which
Wow.
I can't even wrap my head around. 2021. So I don't know what that means and what exactly he was trying to warn us about, but it just can't be.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah,
putting it out in the world that it shouldn't be.
it shouldn't
And
be.
let's see.
Exactly.
We just also want to say to everybody out there who is, has been not well or knows people who have been ill or sadly even known people who may have not been able to fight off this horrible infection, our hearts and thoughts and love and everything is with you all.
Yeah.
It's a time that's showing all of us that unity is really the best way, and that doesn't matter who you are, how rich, how poor, the color, we're all human and we're
Yeah.
all susceptible. So let's take care of each other, and just a big huge shout out to all those who are on the front lines, who are still working, who are making it so that we can go to the supermarket, which has become like a joyful thing.
Yeah.
I went this morning and there was actually an abundance of toilet paper, which I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Charmin and Quilted Northern have been very busy.
They have been. They have been. Listen, we jumped in without saying exactly who we are. We are the co-owners and founders of a very exciting company that we love very much called the Distillery Inc. We work with athletes on many levels to help them repurpose their athletic intelligence into a life beyond sports. We are passionate sports fans, aficionados, participants ourselves. And that's why we like to sit here every couple of weeks and talk about all the things around sports that are sometimes the hidden treasures, the hidden stories, the world of sports that not everybody talks about. And I was thinking about it this morning, like, this is the perfect time to be doing that because
Right.
what's going on in the field is not going on in the field.
Yeah.
So without spending a whole lot more time, we want you to, on kind of who we are, we want to tell you that we love when you join the conversation, and you can do so through our Facebook page, comments, or you can call in at, oh my God, it's been so long. I have to remember 323. Tony, you might have to jump in.
323
524-2599.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's on the screen as well.
No, I couldn't see it.
It's
Thank you
tiny,
so much.
tiny numbers.
We wanted to, though, have a conversation today about the effects of the coronavirus on us staying home, what it means to be in lockdown mentally, and actually for athletes like even home athletes like myself, Eira. I always say is a more elevated home athlete than I am. You know, what can we be doing? How can we not get down? How can we use this time to help strengthen ourselves, our bodies, our minds? And we wanted to have a friend of ours who you've seen on the show before come back, because not only is he an amazing athlete himself, playing multiple sports, including one of, you know, my all-time favorite, you know, sport of all time.
Go Gaelic football.
Go Gaelic football, exactly. But he also is a coach, a personal trainer, and he works with youth, young athletes. He's a coach in schools, so he has an all-around great perspective on what we can be doing. I also want to make sure that I put this nod in for Eira before I introduce Scott, because I was telling Eira, I'm sure that she has found a gazillion ways to keep her amazingly fit, trim body happening, even though she can't get to the gym and she has to limit what she's doing. So I want you, Eira, to also talk about what you're doing, particularly from, you know, a woman's standpoint. I know I'm finding it hard to find a place in my house to, you know, really do something, and, you know, getting out is great. We are walking, but it's not easy. So let me take the moment and introduce Scott Svetkovski, whose name I love saying when I say it right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us again, Scott. We're very happy to have you here.
Oh, super stoked to be here as always. That's a very good pronunciation.
Thank you. So, Scott, you know, I think we should just make this an open forum and discuss, like, what are you hearing from people that you personally trained, or that you are out and about with, students? Like, what are you hearing from people about how this is affecting them?
Well, from the physical standpoint, you know, I think the biggest and most immediate thing that I learned while talking with a bunch of different people was the equipment aspect of working out, and how you don't really realize how lucky we are to have so many of the different equipments that are available in gyms, and how many gyms are around you, and how advanced the training has actually become in these arenas. And so it's pretty incredible to see how quickly things have been able to shift from, okay, I was allowed in this gym and I had a trainer right with me, to now, okay, I have to do everything kind of by myself and everything is shifted online. But if you weren't able to grab equipment, that's one of the bigger problems right now that I see people are having. And even I kind of had that problem in the beginning as well. Is I'm used to, even after I broke my collarbone, I'm back to my normal lifting weight. Before this all happened, I'm putting up, 50 pounds on each side of the bar, which is kind of where I was before I broke my collarbone. Now I have 15-pound weights to work with. So it's like, how can I get and keep my body strong to where it was before with 15 pounds. So that's the biggest thing on the physical side of it.
Have you heard lack of motivation being something? One of the most interesting things that I found is, now that my son doesn't have to be in school until I deem it's time to go to school.
Exactly.
I'm an early riser. I've been sleeping in until like 8:30. Like, I haven't been able to get my lazy butt out of bed. Have you heard that as well?
Yeah, Principal Wendy, I have.
Principal, teacher.
Yeah.
Right. You wear so many hats.
Totally.
Yeah, just one for this show, I see. But yeah, so lack of motivation is definitely a problem. I even went through that little dip myself, because all training, you have your peaks and valleys, and I think everyone found themselves in this valley because we were feeling the weight of the collective consciousness of what was going on, which is a lot of fear, which is a lot of unknown. Well, what do we want to do when we have fear and the unknown? And all this is, I want to curl up and do Twinkie curls, eat the Twinkies
Right.
and watch my favorite movies on the couch.
Or more appropriate for me would be the wine curls.
Yes,
forget the
absolutely.
Twinkie, give me the wine.
Yeah, I think Bevmo and the liquor stores are doing okay at this time period. But yeah, lack of motivation for sure on all levels, especially for the teenagers that I work with. This is a brand new world from them. They weren't going to encounter any type of virtual learning and having an absolute brand new structure of education on how they have to complete their work and when. And then we have the kids that were about to start their sport or were already starting their sport, and the coaches are trying to figure out how to keep them active. And even then, they're still like, I just kind of want to play video games and escape. So it's how do we restructure the mind and bring them back into that mindfulness and knowing that, you know, you can be here in this craziness right now, and find a new way to restructure your vision and your emotions and your mentality into using the athleticism that you were going to be doing, to stay out of that rut.
And Eira, I'm curious too, on your front, are you hearing anything different, or is it the same kind of repetitive themes?
No, it depends, I think, on who you're talking to, and probably it changes on any given day of the week and, you know, time of day. But I think it's so important to remember a few things. I think number one, what a gift we've been given to just get back to basics, which, you know, whatever sport you play, that is always, always, always the best reminder. And I have been training with a variety of coaches in a variety of disciplines for years, and it never fails. I don't care how good you are, who you are, what level you are competing or playing at, you must remember fundamentals. And so I think we have a huge gift to just keep things really simple. You know, I, like you, Scott, was, you know, I'm actually still now nursing, you know, a sprained ankle, recovering from that, trying to avoid surgery, which is what doctors love to do. So I've been doing tons of physical therapy just to rehab the foot. So like you, I went from leg pressing 1,200 pounds to I'm not leg pressing at home at all. I haven't been for months. But the beauty of that is that we can be reminded of just how much we can do with our own body weight, that we don't have to have tons of equipment. So this takes us back to way before coronavirus. For those people who have a tough time getting motivated to get to a gym, you don't have to get to a gym. You don't have to have tons of equipment, fancy equipment, any equipment. You can do tons of stuff. And this is also a time to give a shout out to so many fitness professionals that are giving away their talents and services and expertise and wisdom for free. So more than any other time, we have no excuse right now to not do anything with ourselves. Everything is available online. You can search anything: home equipments, no equipment, you know, home workouts, no equipment, short workouts, long workouts, whatever you want. Anything is, you know, available to us. But also a reminder, I think, to not beat ourselves up. You know, if you need to sleep in, to let yourself sleep in, because for whatever reason, on a global level, this is the energy that we're dealing with right now. And, you know, globally, on a macro level, on a micro level for each of us individually, there's a reason why we had to slow down. And so let your body rest. If you want to sleep in, sleep in. And when you're up and ready to go, whether it's a short walk around your neighborhood or jumping jacks or jump rope in your backyard or squats with your own body weight, whatever you are ready for, when you're ready for it, do that and do it with joy. But we cannot be letting ourselves get into stress mode, because that affects our bodies, our minds in ways that I don't think we can even really understand. But we're seeing it more and feeling it more now that we're all stuck at home. So I think keep it simple. I think be kind to yourself, let yourself enjoy this downtime, and make the best of whatever it is that you do have around you. And take advantage of the resources that people are putting up online for all of us to benefit from for free.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. And like when I teach leadership, I'm piloting a sports leadership program at the high school I teach at. And, you know, we talk about little L moments and then big L moments. So the little L leadership, you know, are the little moments, little interactions that make a big difference as they pile up. And then the big L leadership, where it's the hoorah, this, that, you're in front of the whole team. You know, we now have this opportunity to lead ourselves better than ever and practice that and using the little things. Because right now it's the little things and the little victories and the little wins, and have an appreciation and gratitude for that. That's going to bring us through this, and it's going to change the collective conscious. And when you change that, then you'll start feeling different, then you'll start moving different, and it all plays in together. So we have a really cool opportunity to put on our oxygen mask first so we can take care of everybody else, and you're not, you know, passed out.
No, I think both those points are really great. I think what Eira, you're saying about kind of going back to basics and giving yourself a break, but also to get to know yourself. Like this is an opportunity to kind of lead yourself. And I feel like, especially when it comes to our physical bodies that it's not always easy to do that, and it's not always, you know, if you're not a professional athlete or an athlete that is competitive, let's say, you know, it's not as routine.
Sure.
You know, it's not as routine, and I feel like that if the idea is that it's really getting to know you again, getting to know your body, what it is that you enjoy doing, what gets those endorphins kicking in, you know, how can you do the small, like I like that little the L leadership, the small L leadership with yourself. Like, how do you like to say, hey, look, if I get up and I do 15 squats today, that might be more than you've ever done before, and hey, it's a victory, and it's not about losing the weight. It's not about the, you know, how toned I am. It's about, you know.
And 15 slow squats with proper form and intention is not easy.
No, it isn't.
You know, it's not easy. And you can do 2 or 3 sets of those, and you feel that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, the thing about it is that I don't think people realize that. And I think that the idea of looking at this lockdown that we're all collectively in, or, you know, looking at it that way and saying, okay, let's discover, look, I have an opportunity to go online where I wouldn't normally pay for it, and maybe discover an easy way I can do things, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in LA right now, but in Austin, at least, you know, the streets are wide, and so people feel very comfortable going outside and walking. And and from what, now I don't know much different because we moved here and then like a minute later this whole thing happened.
Right.
So I go outside and see people, families walking together or bike riding a lot. My family here is telling me that the amount of people that are out is not as usual. You know, this is unusual to see so many people out. You know, when you say so many, I mean, again, it's not like we're crowding this, but like it's a lot of people out 2 or 3 times a day.
Sure.
You see people. Yeah. Is it the same in Los Angeles? Is that a remedy? Or are people like all of a sudden discovering like, hey, we can walk places?
There are pockets, but I'm going to say, I mean, I'm, as you know, born and raised in LA, and it is empty out there.
Is
you
it
know,
really?
Yeah, it is empty out there. And the people who are out and about, I think, are being very mindful and cautious. And for the most part, people are wearing masks. And yes, there are still the runners out there, and the power walkers, and the slow walkers, and the cyclists. And I think, especially if you have kids, you kind of have to get out and do something.
Yeah.
But it's not crowded. It's not even, you know, remotely, not crowded, but I mean, it's not, you know, this is a typical Sunday is just, you know,
wow, it's wild.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, I'm doing cycling. I hop on my bike and I can go, you know, 30, 35, 40 miles and no traffic. I catch all the lights. There's nobody out. There's just, cars are not a problem.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, we're cleaning up the air, which is really nice. LA has got some very clean air right now, and I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Ira, if you've noticed the difference in your workouts that are happening outside with cleaner air and less cars, because I personally have been feeling much better while running outside, you know.
Absolutely.
Trying to stay fit for Gaelic season, and we're kind of postponed right now, but not only do I feel safer because I'm like, okay, there's less chance of getting hit by crazy drivers, but I feel the air is just so much cleaner. I can breathe better through it.
It's so much cleaner, and you feel it. Absolutely. Because you mentioned it, I'm curious just to get your thoughts on, you know, as a current player on a team who's anticipating the upcoming season, both training for it and hoping to be able to start at some point. What does that look like for you guys? And, you know, I mean, first, the idea that this whole season could be canceled, number one. Number two, if you guys do have a season, would you guys play without any fans? Because that sort of seems to be a big, you know, sore spot for so many pro athletes. Like, we're not going to play if we don't have fans to play for. So,
well, you know, the great thing about Gaelic football and everyone who plays Gaelic football is, and being all over the world, amateur athletes that don't get paid. You know, I don't want to say we don't play for the fans. We obviously always want to put a great showing on, but this is a very internally driven sport and for love and passion. And whether there's one person there or 100 people there, we are going to push and strive to win no matter what, because we have these internal motivating factors, not only as individuals, but as a team unit, as the LA Cougars. And so training right now looks for us, it's about keeping the competitive edge, right? So we have a lot of competitions going on each month. We have goals that we're hitting. We have like distance competitions, which I think right now I'm leading. I did 8 miles yesterday for the first time in like God knows how long. and that was strictly from like a pride thing, right? An internal driven passion that I wanted to go the furthest. And so we have everyone on our team is like that. So we're all doing what we can in hopes that we will be able to have a season and defend our national championship. And we'll play in any circumstances. I'll play in a hazmat suit for all I care.
Sure, exactly. Just to play.
Get me on the field,
I think it's really interesting what you just said. It kind of sparked something in me because, sometimes the motivation for particularly like the home athlete is having a Fitbit or something that says you have to do 10,000 steps a day or whatever. And you're talking about like, I love the idea of like collective goals. Like if you have 2 or 3 friends or maybe, more friends that you could say, okay, by the end of the week, like show, like, let's collectively report what you've done and like, let's all meet objectives. Because I also think that competitiveness helps people motivate themselves to kind of get out and keep fit, whether it's, again, doing 15 squats 3 times a day. If you're reporting it and, like competing with friends, that could be a really fun way of getting motivated,
Absolutely. And like knowing what your motivating factors are. So like I know, and I've known this about myself for years, that not as much anymore just because of my spiritual path and all that, but like I am still actually very motivated by receiving acknowledgement, and the way that my mind developed that as a collegiate athlete and getting to that collegiate athlete, I need to be seen. In order to be seen, I need to be fit, I need to be fast, I need to work hard, I need to be vocal, I need to do all these things. So for me, when I see that there's a competition and I can be number one and my name will be known and people will acknowledge me, that's a motivating factor. You could say that's an unhealthy external factor, but I know my intrinsic motivating factors outweigh that one beyond belief. But if it gets me to be running 8, 9, 10 miles, which I would never do before,
right,
it's a positive benefit. It's when it has a negative outcome is when you want to be aware of that. You want to make sure if it has a positive outcome, does it really matter? Depends on where that tiny motivating factor comes from.
Sure.
I also found it very interesting. I got out and walked with my sister and my brother-in-law the other day, and kind of trying to keep that social distancing as we were walking. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I was a good, 6 to 8 feet ahead of them, and behind me, towards the end of our journey, my sister looked at her whatever tracker she was using and said, "Oh, we just did the fastest mile that we had done. That's amazing. Like, this is amazing." And I realized that only because I was trying to keep up a distance ahead, I was probably pulling them, like, because I was walking faster, they were walking faster, so I was walking faster, and it's really interesting also if people can get out and in a safe way, like walk in groups, but use that as a way to kind of push themselves to move faster. It's also really interesting how that kind of imposed social distancing made our workout much faster and better, and and she even surprised herself. She's like, "God, I didn't even know I could walk that fast."
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. And it kind of brings a point like that. We as humans always want to be progressing. And to actually see the numbers and say, whoa, we are actually progressing in this time of absolute stillness. And okay, we're just kind of here. We're stuck here. You know what I mean? That we can find that progression that we can kind of hold to ourselves, I think is really, really important.
So I have a couple questions. One, and you may not know this, or maybe it just be conjecture, but you're looking at all of these professional athletes who are without a season, some who are coming out of college hoping to be drafted, how do you suppose they're keeping their shape up? How do like what is their mindset at this point when there's a lack of understanding of when things might get started again?
Yeah. The first thing that would go through, I would think would go through their mind and would go through my mind is, how bad do I want it? How bad am I willing to continually work through this? Someone who has been in the hopes of being drafted is probably already in that mindset. They probably went through their valley where they're, pissed off, throw a pillow, why does this have to happen now? Just like so many of us did. But they're in the business of themselves, and they understand and know that they're their product. So if they have those goals, and if they have the right emotional strength and mentality, they really shouldn't lack too much. I mean, think about the Olympic athletes that were planning on competing, and you read their interviews, they're just like, I know, like in hopes and everything like that, but they're just like, okay, back to the training. We're going to restructure training so that I hit my peak at that time period again. So, if you're in that draft line, you probably have the support of obviously the school, the athletic department, outside resources to make sure that you're staying up and fit and mentally. And so I was laughing to myself the other day, because I think the first time I was on your show, I was talking about how, we were talking about the time constraints for athletes and things like that. And how they need to hire an external person like myself to come in and just focus on that, because the coaches can't focus on it. The students need somebody to do that. Yeah. And then the coaches always complain, well, it's going to take up time from the field. And then, you got to correlate everything. Now I'm sitting here going, wow, you got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Call me up. Yeah. We can do emotional intelligence training like I'm doing with my clients over webcam and everything like that. So now I see it as there's absolutely no excuse. If anything, you have such an opportunity to strengthen your athletic teams, your individual athletes, and your captain more than ever. Like now you have the time. You can give them the individual workouts to do on their own, which they will. They don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. Make that have to be there at a certain time, working on their emotional intelligence, their mentality, their well-being from a soul level, and that internal honest dialogue.
Yeah, taking the time to enjoy all those small things that we don't normally, focus on. And also we have to remember, athletes, any of us, we've got great muscle memory. It's not like you're not going to get back to whatever level you were at before this started. You are going to get back there. It's going to take some work and some effort and a little bit of time, but you will get back to it, and you will come back stronger. I mean, I think any woman who's ever had a baby, given birth, oftentimes says, I've come back stronger, I've come back faster, I've come back better, in better shape than, I thought I was ever going to. So our bodies are incredible, machines, and they have great muscle memory. So you might not be doing the heavy lifting. You might just be in your backyard shooting hoops over and over again. But we've talked to plenty of clients who say, when I wanted to become great at the 3 points, that's what I did every night, no matter what, 1,000 3-pointers, in a row before I went to sleep. And so people are taking advantage of this time now to work again on the basics, go back to fundamentals, go back to the foundation. Those little L's you were talking about, the little L's of leadership, you're using now to build a different foundation, a stronger foundation for something different than you had been on a path to before.
Definitely. And use the opportunity to now cross train in a way that you haven't before. It sounds so funny, but like when I was in college soccer, like our main conditioning was you would run, you would do sprints, you would do ladders and hills until you threw up, and then you would do it again. Now the training is so advanced, we have access to so much. Now you can take that opportunity to cross train in an area that you wouldn't before. If I would have been doing the high intensity interval training stuff that I do now and all the lower body strength stuff that I know now that I didn't know then. I mean, I went to a D3 school, and so time was really, constricted on how much we could do as weight room, and we had part-time coaches for a little bit, things like that. So I didn't get like the full D1 experience. But if I would have known and cross-trained the way that I did, I would have been, I think, 10 times faster.
Yeah.
Now, luckily I had the martial arts, and it was always a catch-22, because for me, this is why, so I have my I used to call it the athletic development model, but now I just call it the human development model. That is 3 paths to alignment of the 3 legs of the athlete. So we got the mind, body, spirit, internal honest dialogue, Reiki, and meditation, and then the martial arts. The martial arts was such an incredible cross-training thing for me to use, the catch-22 is how could I do that during the season as well? Because I would do it in my off season. My off season spring training would be phenomenal because I'd been training in the martial arts, and then the demand of it doing both at the same time. So I use that now in accordance where it can be used as a full-fledged off season and on season training. But I've found my way back to even doing that more because I've been coaching and teaching the martial arts and coaching soccer and coaching emotional intelligence. I've now found my way back to training on my own and creating videos for other people. So, which is kind of the plight of the coach. Like, you coach so much, when do you get to play? Which is why I love Gaelic and everything like that. So there's my rant.
Thank you for your rant. I want to get to the the emotional intelligence part of all of this, but before we get there, I do want to ask a little bit more of a deeper question about the kids. You touched on it a little earlier about how kids are like, oh yeah, I can play my iPad, or yes, I have school, but I have in case of my son, it's maybe an hour and a half on Zoom a day, if that. And getting him motivated to go out and do something physical has been hard, because right now particularly in my situation, he doesn't have a sibling, right? So he has me. So if I go out, he's playing football with me, or he's playing baseball with me. And to be honest with you, it's fine and he enjoys it, but he gets bored. And quite honestly, a little bit, so do I. So, no, I mean, I love playing with him, but it's totally. Like,
you can only do the same thing over and over again.
Over and over again.
Right.
Exactly. So I wanted to get your thoughts, but also, like how to, I'm struggling to get, and I've heard this from other parents. So at least I know it's not just my kid, but I'm struggling to get him off the sofa. Like, now it's becoming, well, do I have to go out? Not, oh, I want to get out there,
Right.
No, but you have to stand while watching TV.
Or you use the technology to your advantage. You can make it fun. They have these tiny projectors you can buy, very cheap. And they project whatever image from your laptop, your iPhone, whatever it is, onto a wall. So like, we can go out and I can project, a fitness video onto the wall outside. So they're outside, and they're in the sunshine, but they're doing whatever it is, following a fitness routine, dancing, nice. They're doing whatever it is, and they can do it indoors if it's raining. But my point is, have him be in charge of picking out whatever fitness videos. And again, this goes back to, everyone is offering something now for everyone. Whoever you are, however old you are, he can find his favorite athletes now who have posted amazing, short videos to get kids up and out doing something. So just put him in charge of doing the research. So he's on the computer, he's the one researching what's out there, and he finds the videos, and he's in charge of creating his schedule for the week, because then he's invested, he's created it, and he will stick to it. He's in charge of it. It hasn't been imposed upon him.
I think that's a great idea. I love that idea of kind of activating their creativity to create their own curriculum around being athletic or in movement.
Yeah.
Well, my hot tip I can give you is, as you guys know, my father owns a karate school back on the East Coast, and so it'd be 2 p.m. our time, 5 p.m. East Coast, he does Facebook Live kids classes.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
So he can learn some karate if he wants. Just go on the Western Karate Center Facebook page and it'll be live. So and then my dad's doing some adult classes too. So that's amazing, and thank you for that hot tip. We should put that on our Facebook page so people can find it. But even deeper than that, what I'm asking is how to, I love the tip of getting them involved, how to motivate them. Like how, people keep telling me, I keep saying, oh my God, I'm so worried that my kid is now like over electronicized, and how is he going to go back to being normal, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, don't worry, all the kids are in the same boat. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's a mentality that's starting to become like, I see it. It's starting to become like, this is my normal. Why are you taking this away from me? This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing now, right? And it's the same thing for physical activity. So how to spark kids,
or how to make sure that you're maintaining their connection to movement?
Definitely. I mean, the first suggestion I would have is you can make PE a requirement in your
I
house.
have, but
Okay,
that
cool.
means, but I got to tell you something. That has been part of our curriculum every day, except when it rains. And then it's like, and we've had I think you guys have had a lot of rain too. We've had a lot of rain recently.
Right.
But again, it requires me, like, which is
Not
good for
always.
me. I'm not saying it's bad for me to get out, but it's kind of like,
I mean,
all right.
yeah, if you created a structured plan where it doesn't always have to involve with you, for example, Tuesdays and Thursdays are yoga days. There's yoga videos out there that are specifically for kids, and they're slower and and it's easier to follow along. And that's something that he can just do in movement by himself in front of the TV, something like the martial arts thing that he can just watch somebody from instruction learning in that way. And if you set those certain times every single time, the whole month, that can help break up at least where you're at, and then it can get them on that schedule. And then we're talking about then development, because if they're doing Tuesday and Thursday yoga every week, you're going to see the actual progression in his flexibility and his strength. So it's not just like, oh crap, I got to come up with something. Oops, sorry. I got to come up with something.
We are not on FM radio. You can say things like that.
Yeah. Oh, I got to come up with something new today for us to do together. It's okay. Tuesday, it's his time. Okay, it's Thursday. So then you only got to worry about Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You don't get a burnout. He doesn't get a burnout from you. And he learns to do individual movement by himself.
Great. I love that idea. So in the time remaining, I would love to focus on the kind of the emotional intelligence side of the kind of the separation from from an athlete's point of view, which I think has, we see things differently a little bit. What are the areas that we can tap into from that emotional intelligence side to help us not go down a path of being, feeling the loss, feeling the separation, feeling the boredom, feeling the heaviness of all of this?
Totally. So, emotional intelligence is just like a cheat sheet, I like to call it. It's just taking all the emotional information happening right now at this moment in time and figuring out, is this serving my greatest and highest good? What do I need to shift right now in order to change my perception, change my mentality? Because, emotions are frequencies. And when you're feeling that grief, when you're feeling that depression state, when you're feeling those are low vibrational frequencies. So switching to something of joy to bring in those new higher emotions of happiness and gratitude is a huge vibration. Appreciation, things like that will help shift the mentality. So, when you go through that cycle of, oh my gosh, like I miss my teammates, I'm feeling the loss of connection, how can you take that and shift it into a higher vibration of something like gratitude? So, man, I miss my teammates. Oh, but I remember that one game when we were behind, and you start thinking about a victory and a win with those teammates, and that love you felt for each other, and that connection and that fight for each other. How can we shift from that loss into wow, this was really great that I've already had some of these experiences, and raise the vibration and raise to different emotions that serve us even better.
In terms of, when those feelings come up, that feeling of, of isolation, depression, frustration, whatever it is, before you make that switch though into, I'm going to go from that to gratitude, can you talk a bit about just how important it is to actually acknowledge that feeling though, and give it its place? Because what I find
1,000%.
also is that there are so many people who are having these moments of just, they explode all of a sudden, just because there's a difference between transitioning, from one emotion to another, and suppressing an emotion.
Yeah.
Or eventually it's going to get to you somehow, and probably at the wrong place at the wrong time, with your kids, with your spouse, whatever it is. So can you talk about just how we can be better about again, honoring our feelings, because whatever they are, whether we define them as negative or positive or whatever it is, there's an inherent value in just acknowledging that they came up for a reason, to show something, and how you honor that and give it its place and value it before you move on to something else.
100%. You don't want to ever suppress anything, because again, you're going to have those explosion moments, but you also really don't want to even go further into suppression where you don't explode and then it just gets stuck somewhere. The book out there, I'll always quote it because even the title of the book just says it itself, but the body keeps the score. And the last thing you want to do is manifest a physical injury or something like that because of an emotion you didn't acknowledge. So emotional intelligence is about taking that time, what's going on, do a little cheat check, what's going on within me. And then, like you said, holding space for that. And then you can ask yourself, what I do is like, I'll put my hands over my heart, because now is a great time to start tapping back into the heart space. And what do I need in this moment in time? Do I need to go to my punching bag? Do I need to just talk to somebody? Do I need to just like yell like a crazy person really quickly in my bedroom? You know, do I need to go eat, some pound cake or something like that? Like, what do I need right now in this moment in time? And I call that feeding the soul, because that's really connected. So absolutely take the time, take the space, acknowledge we're lucky enough to where we have the technology like this, where if you need to connect with someone like a therapist or just like a friend or something like that, we have that, and to absolutely use it. And then once you go through that process, then we can start introducing the higher vibrational emotions and memories and things that bring us joy to get out of that state. And it's also really important that when we're in these lower states and we're not feeling ourselves and we have these kind of unserving emotions, is to not worry about the future. Don't worry about, oh my God, like you're feeling like crap and I need to hit my goal of 10 miles. I need to do this. Don't worry about that, because you're in a state where manifesting that is not going to happen. You're actually going to bring those negative emotions and energy into those future scenarios. So don't worry about that. This is where mindfulness comes in. Be mindful, be present, take care of the now, so later you can achieve what you want to achieve. Don't worry about that type of stuff. When you're back in that high state, back to feeling like yourself, back to the emotions that serve you, then you can go back to the goal writing. Then you can go back into any type of visualization, manifestation stuff that you can work on as an athlete or just in life in general, stuff that you want to do.
I love that. And the universe is forcing us to be present, because we don't know when anything's going to reopen, and we don't know when we'll get back to business or back to the gym or back to anything. So there is no, worrying about later and what we're going to do later, because all we have really is right now.
Absolutely.
That's a great reminder.
I also want to add something that I've personally kind of taken on board, and something that's helped me, I think, stay really, really optimistic, is that I also feel the universe is forcing all of us to look at things from different perspectives.
Sure.
Like you don't have a choice. So I feel like when I've gotten in those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like how is this all going to work? How is this going to keep working? Or in those moments where my son asked me for the 15th time, do I have to do this? Like I'm not in school, or I hate you being my teacher, which has happened like 17 times almost every day.
Yeah.
I really have tried to say, okay, this is a great opportunity to think out of the box, to do it differently, because I don't have really a choice. And when I start to kind of imagine what it looks like in a different way, then I get excited, and I'm kind of like, one of the things that, and it's funny that this, for me, it all kind of coincided was making a big move, like moving a house or a city or whatever, is that you're forced to see things differently anyway.
Yeah.
But just, again, even from my workout regime, like every time I go out into the neighborhood to walk, I'm looking at where I live happens to be quite hilly. And I keep looking at all the different streets that have good hills. And I'm like, I am looking at hills in a completely different way. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, if I just go up and down that one twice, that's going to be like, that's a workout right there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I also
It's all
think
about perception.
Yep.
exactly. And I think that it's like if you can take a moment and go, ooh, how can I do this differently? You know, how can I think about it differently? Or how can I imagine what my exercise is going to look like in a different way? Because it really is empowering in a way. It makes it, I get the control back, you know, instead of being at the mercy of, oh, whatever's going on outside.
No, and that's nice because for so many people who feel like they are out of control, just to have something you feel like, you know, you are in charge of makes us all feel a lot better right now.
Exactly. I wanted to ask our wonderful station owner Tony if before we end, he might add a different perspective because he also is a trainer and he also loves to work out. Tony, have you got any great tips that you can share with everybody?
Well, the key word for me is was a trainer.
Tony's a big fan of the arm curls right now.
Yes.
Whatever he wants to eat or drink.
Pretty well. It's being forced. I have a spouse that doesn't like to eat alone, so.
I love it.
But what I mean, I do. Even though I still work every day. Thank God at the business. But I do because where I live in Santa Clarita, I go up into the mountains and I hike a lot. So
great.
Yeah, and that's my meditation and my relaxation and also exercise. So
I think that's important, even though we are supposed to be isolating, which we are doing and we're mindful. You've got to get outside, even if you don't have access to the hills and the trails and the mountains, you know, get out and walk around your block, get out to your driveway and get some fresh air. It is important to get outside.
Yeah. And also I do want to add, I do think the idea of meditation, even for 5 to 10 minutes a day, also kind of helps. And I am like not a great meditator, so I'm putting it out there for all of you people who don't find meditation easy. Like even 5 minutes of just like saying, I'm just going to be still and quiet amongst all this still and quiet. It actually works.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. On that note, Scott, would you talk to us just for a minute before we have to end our show about your event coming up on Saturday the 25th?
Yes. So next Saturday, so I have my nonprofit One Heart Way that uses complementary and alternative medicine to help members of the community who just need more. So we were doing in-person events and now we've shifted to online. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a Holy Fire Reiki experience. So what this is going to entail is we're going to talk a little bit about what is Reiki, what is this amazing spiritually guided life force energy, just so people get a little bit of a background of it. And we're going to do 3 different experiences that are going to be anywhere between like 15 and 25 minutes long each, that will really help people do a little discovery within themselves, find spots and areas of the life that need healing. That Holy Fire energy will come in and help and assist with that. The experiences that we're going to be doing, and that I usually do this when I teach a Reiki class. This isn't going to be a Reiki class. It's just going to be more of a 2-hour experience. A lot of people will meet their spirit guides and you know, ascended masters and stuff like that. So it becomes a really cool, trippy experience, but it's a really, really healing one. And so we do everything by suggested donation, which helps, you know, helps us do the free stuff we do for the veterans, for hospitals, which are on hold right now. People that are going through substance abuse recovery, we don't charge those areas. We'll do these community events to help fund that side. So it's just kind of a washer dryer type thing. So yeah, the 25th, that'll be really, really great. You can go to oneheartway.org and it's right in the events section where you can go ahead and sign up.
Amazing.
Scott, if there's something you can share from Facebook for that onto our page, we'll happily post it for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, as always, time goes by very quickly. And we want to just thank, first of all, Scott for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we hope, and we know you will be on again, I am sure. Yeah. And Tony, thank you so much for engineering and for keeping your amazing business going, because since you're able to do that, we are able to do this, and we truly, truly appreciate it. And to everybody watching, I think we'll be back to our regular schedule, albeit probably on Zoom for a while, as it seems. Yeah. But we look forward to talking with you, hearing from you, any suggestions or ideas of things you would like us to talk about, particularly now that we can really elevate what we talk about because there's nothing going on the field. Let us know. You can reach us at thedistilleryinc.com on our Facebook page. the Distillery Inc. And you can download or subscribe to all of these podcasts on all of your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. Eira, I love seeing you.
I know, I love seeing you too. I miss you.
Miss you.
Miss you,
Miss you,
Scott.
Tony.
Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you,
Talk
everyone.
soon.
You're welcome.
Take
Bye,
care of
everyone.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.